Welcome back. You're still watching Fut-Afrique. Thank you so much for choosing to stay with us. It's that time of the show where we get you out of your misery. We answer the trivia question that Brian Mofokeng posed to you at the beginning of the show. I will not be giving you the answer, but someone who will confirm what the correct answer is to you is Jessica Bokamo-Sonkoma, our newlywed here at Fut-Afrique. Ladies and gentlemen, Mama Africa is in the building.
Mandwendwe representing.
Hello, Mama. Let's get to it.
The correct answer is Ntate Stanley. Most of them know him as Screamer. Some of them know him as Shoeshine and Piano, depending on which team you supported.
But and which era you're from.
Let me just tell. But the correct answer is Stanley Shabalala.
Yeah, absolutely. A legend of the game, gone but not forgotten. And if you are wondering as to why this third time in a row was so special to Orlando Pirates, that's the answer. They would have wished and would have loved for him to be around to experience this marvelous feat. That is the answer to this week's trivia question. Thank you so much for playing along with us. Next week, with another question. So you want to make sure that next week you don't miss Fut-Afrique. So right now, get your phone, set your reminder, 1:30 on SABC1. Now we're an arm's length away from the COSAFA Women's Championship. It will be taking place out in Gqeberha. The Windy City will be welcoming everyone when it comes to the African continent. And man, oh man, an expanded competition, 14 teams. Jess, what does this mean for women's football?
You know what? I'm super excited to actually speak about these teams and just women's football, because we always talk about having these tournaments that can basically give highlight and give exposure to a lot of people. And I think we can specifically see most of these clubs. I think most teams have released the players that are going to participate, and we're seeing a lot of young players. And you always speak about the development of women's football.
Yep.
So I definitely think that it's speaking volumes. And just to give people a bit of insight, just going through the teams, we've got Group A. South Africa is going to be there. Namibia, Eswatini is going to be there, and Seychelles is actually a debutante. So super happy to see them there. Group B, we've got Malawi, Botswana, Madagascar, Mauritius. Now that is the group of death for me specifically, and I'll dissect on that.
Yeah.
Group C, we've got Zambia, Angola, Comoros, and then in Group D, we've got Mozambique, Zimbabwe, and Lesotho.
I want to take you back to group that you say is a group of death. Malawi, who are the defending champions, they will have tough competition from Botswana. And I say from Botswana because we see the rise of the Zebra Nation.
Yes. Botswana is a definitely team that we must look out for. Now remember, we would know from Banyana Botswana denying us an opportunity for the Olympics. And we've seen how well they've done in 2022 when they made it to the quarterfinals.
100%.
And I think that they also have explosive players. I mean, Buseja, who plays for Mamelodi Sundowns and has been doing constantly well at Mamelodi Sundowns, is definitely going to be there. Obviously, they will be missing Utolagela, who's an injury up until next year. But I think they do really have those pieces of experience and explosive players, which are going to give Malawi a bit of a tough time. Now, Malawi, on the other hand, has brought out their best of their best.
My extended family.
Your extended family. And I want to speak about two. So we know that the Chawinga sisters are part of the squad.
Yes.
But I'm not too sure if Temo is going to be part of the selection, because there is currently the Summer Cup that's going to be happening on the 25th of October, which basically runs throughout COSAFA.
Yeah, clashes.
I don't know if they're going to actually release them, and the French League is also still in play. So we are looking at the top players that they have are international players, which might not be able to partake, which we're seeing from South Africa as well. We got two selections, the COSAFA selection and the one that's playing the friendlies. So I'm interested to actually see which players are going to be dominating in the Malawi squad to basically give Botswana a run for their money.
You just touched on Temwa. Let's talk about her debut season out in the NWSL, if I say it correctly.
Correct.
Let's just talk about that and how incredible she's been. Sam Kerr. Do you understand?
Record the Sam Kerr that she had in 2019. And I think that for an African player speaks volumes. And I mean, scoring 18 goals in one season and actually helping your team advance to where they are. And Kansas City is one of the best teams we know in that league. So I really want to give her a big shout out. I mean, let's just look at some of the things she's done. She's played 13 matches. First player to score 13 goals in different matches, and also Golden Boot leader as well. And I think there's so many that I can talk about with this specific player.
Accolades
but I just
upon
think
accolades.
And it's not just when she moved to this team, you know, we saw what she did in China as well. She's just been a player that's been consistent in every single team, every single continent that she's played in, and I'm super proud of her.
We touched on South Africa's Banyana Banyana. You said that they've already announced 2 squads, one that will go on the European tour and one that will play within the COSAFA competition.
Definitely.
When you take a look at the COSAFA competition, would you say that this is an experimental group for our nation?
I think so, because I don't know, for the past 3 years, I don't know if South Africa has dropped interest in that specific tournament and maybe focused on your WAFCONs and your FIFA World Cup. But I think this is an experimental tournament, I think, and because it's also not a qualifying one, I think it's a great opportunity. Perhaps Maud's decision to select these couple of players was to say who's going to be feeding into the senior national team if we are not giving them this game time. However, I would have thought maybe you would have a half of a team, half of the experienced players and half of the young ones.
So you talk about that half though, Jess, and because we also have the European tour that's going to be taking place. Would you not rather give the experienced players more experience?
Of course they've got the more experience, but you still have players that are left out from the senior team that would be the experience that could fill here.
Name drop.
Nomvula Khwale, Butumelo Rasehlo, Lelona Daweti. She's very young also. She's a player that we know is going to feed into the senior national team. Melinda Khadiete as well. You know, she didn't make it into the senior team, but she's a very skillful player.
She could have
you know, been part of this. And I think those players that I mentioned could have been the ones that are assisting your Gugus, your Mabatus. You know, Delia is there as a senior player, but Abo Selana are there to actually be led on. So I think those would have been features that we could have used.
That's one thing that we love about the beautiful game. We can just sit here, talk and express our opinions, but the decision makers, the coaches and the technical team know exactly what they're doing. Bagaitso, just like that, we've come to the end of another exciting episode of Fut-Afrique. Re dirile go lekane. Leina la ka ke itumeleng Kgosigadi Gabanda, leina la gagwe ke Jessica Bokamosonkomo, ntate o nantse fa ke Brian Mofokeng. Le Adelane Money on your screens. From us to you, have yourselves a good week further. Au revoir.